Hey everyone, it's Eileen. I wanted to share today some ideas of how you can use Post-it notes in guided reading. So first of all, the reason I use Post-it notes so often with my guided reading groups is because they really help students become more engaged in the groups. So there's a variety of options out there in regard to Post-it notes. There's so many colors to choose from. There's different sizes that I like to use. So there's the regular size Post-it notes. Then they have the kind of giant paper size ones that make it a little more exciting when you're having them do certain things in responding to the text. And then they have those mini tabs, which are great for marking up the text. So I'm going to show different ways that I use those with my guided reading groups. So first of all, Post-it notes are great for word work focus. Now this depends, of course, on the group that you're working with and what you want them to focus on based on the book. But let's say you have a group that's really still learning how to read and you're focusing on word families or patterns in words. You would specifically pick words that you know are going to be in the text. So for this one, this has a lot of at words in it. So you would have students make a list of words that have the at family within the text. You could also do this as like, okay, I want you to find these 5 sight words as you're reading, and maybe they're just marking it on the page that's found. Or if you have students who are focusing on different vowel patterns, you might want to say, I want you to make a list of all the long A vowel words that you see in the text and that kind of thing. So you can alter it based on the group, and that's one of the simplest things you can do to differentiate in your guided reading groups is during the word work portion. Another way to use Post-it notes is having students actually interact with the text. So on the left there, I have students making predictions. So this might be you say, okay, when you get to page 3, I want you to stop and write down a prediction on your Post-it note. So their kids would write something like, I predict that the sheep are going to confuse their owners. So they're thinking about the text and really interacting with it. And this might be something they then share out before they move on and continue reading. And then you would come back to their predictions and see if they made a correct prediction or how they figured out that the prediction was incorrect based on what they read next. Another way to interact with the text is having students write reactions. So again, you might have them stop after a certain page and say, I want you to write what you're thinking so far about the characters or the setting or what's happening in the story. So here in this example on the right, it says, uh-oh, I'm not sure how this is going to work out for the sheep. So the kids would actually be thinking about the text and reacting to it in that way. And it's just a simple, quick little thing that they can write down. The next thing is marking up the text, and this is using those little mini tabs. These are perfect for that. So this one, I specifically was focusing on character traits. So the kids can either mark up the illustrations or maybe words that were used in the text, but they really want to show, like on the left there, okay, obviously Franny is disappointed and she's sad. And then on the right now we can see that she is angry from the picture. And so these are things that you just want them to mark up, and then they could discuss them with you or have them write it somewhere else in their notebook, explaining why they chose those pictures, or you're just going to discuss them and why they use those many tabs on their certain pages. Another way to mark up the text is probably a very common way, but when you're reading a nonfiction story, you can have them mark up the nonfiction text features. So you might, on a Post-it note, write down which ones you want them to find, and then have them go and mark the pages. So in this one, they were marking the labels, and they marked captions as well as a photograph. So you really want them interacting with the text this way and showing that they recognize how nonfiction text features are used and really how they help them learn more about the text. Another big thing is providing evidence from the text. Post-it notes are great for this because this isn't generally something that kids will love to do, but if you keep it fresh and do different ways, you can keep them excited about it and really get them focusing on the text. So on the left there, using the illustrations, they're providing evidence to explain how the character is acting. So that when Franny is acting a little crazy, what will she do next? So you really want them to show you that they were paying attention to the text and providing evidence about the character there. Then on the right, this might be for some of your older students, but extended written response. So these are on the giant Post-it notes, and this again makes it more exciting because now they're writing on a big Post-it note. So you might have a question up on the board or something that you tell them, and then their kids can actually respond. And what you could do is just have students each pick an example that answers the question. using evidence from the text, and you might just have one student go first, write their answer down, and then pass it to the next student. Since they have these big post-it notes, you really have the opportunity to pass it around and maybe have them add their different examples, and then you can come back and discuss those together. And another idea is exit tickets. These are just something fun. You get the bright colors involved there, and the kids are then maybe answering just one simple question before they go, so that you can make sure that they understood something that you want them to understand that was important from that text that day. And you could come back and discuss it the next day if you feel like they're still confused about it or they need some clarification. So you might just have one question. It could be something simple like, I want you to draw a picture of the setting. I want you to write which character you thought had the toughest time, and that kind of thing. So it's just something simple that could be real quick, because you might just have barely 30 seconds to a minute to have them respond. And the last thing that I want to share is self-assessment. Self-assessment is so important, especially in guided reading, because it gives you an idea, one, how confident the students are, and you want to make sure that they are really feeling that what they're reading is appropriate for them and that they're feeling confident in their reading. So a quick way to do this without putting someone too much on the spot, you can have them write on a little post-it note on a scale of 1 to 5 how they're feeling, and then have them explain why they chose that number, and then also write a goal. So these are just two examples from these two books, and I'll show on the next slide what questions they were answering. So these are two things you could do. On a scale of 0 to 5, rate your understanding of the story today. So maybe a student will say that they kind of understood it, and because they weren't really sure what this character was doing. And then the other one is on a scale of 0 to 5, rate your fluency today. So again, this is them thinking about, okay, was I focused on my reading, and was I going at a good pace? Did I use expression and those kind of things? So you really want them to be focusing on that as you're reading. And then the two follow-up questions, so those were the ones that they would write under it. Why did you pick that score? And then what is one goal you have for tomorrow as a reader? So these are things, again, that you can look over and then discuss them with the students the next day, and then make sure that they're accomplishing their goals. So that is it, and I hope that you got some ideas of how you can use guided reading in post-it notes in your guided reading groups. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day.